welcome to the About Her show. Now, this is a platform where we showcase the remarkable journeys of women trailblazers who have triumphed over obstacles and shattered barriers to pursue their dreams. Their stories inspire and empower, serving as beacons of hope for others. Yet, we understand that true inclusivity requires the involvement of all genders, and that is why we extend a heartfelt invitation to men who share our commitment for supporting women in their quest to break down barriers and achieve their goals. So, whether you are a woman forging your own path or a man committed to promoting gender equality, your presence on the About Her show is invaluable. So together, let us strive for progress and inclusivity, making a difference one story at a time. So a very, very warm welcome to you.
Thank you, Sangeeta. Thank you. It's such an honor to be on a podcast like this. So thank you for inviting me.
I'm so glad you're here. So let's straight away dive in. To begin with, could you share some insights into your childhood, your early years, and how you feel your experiences of those days helped shape your personality or the kind of person that you are today, or for that matter, what you're doing today?
That sounds like a therapy question, no? I recently heard that all therapy leads to childhood only. So
well, yes,
no,
I think a lot of things stem from there, isn't it?
Yeah, true. It's absolutely true, and in fact, it's a very relevant question because ever since I've become a stand-up comedian, I've been introspecting what led me to this place to do comedy. At the age that I'm doing it at now. And a lot of it actually goes back to childhood. For us, it was, I think it was just a regular middle class childhood. Nothing, both my parents were teachers. So dad was in college, mom used to teach me in the school. So there's a dog out here, which is just a second. I just have to pet him so that he keeps quiet. Lots of books at home. The fact that, in the context of this podcast, the fact that I've always seen my mom work was a very different environment, at least in those days. And I'm talking about, 80s and early 80s. So both parents working, not too much pressure on us. I think they were very liberal in that way. So there was no, despite both of them being teachers, there was no strictness, which was imposed on us, either in terms of studies or to do anything else. And that kind of led to us taking a lot of decisions ourselves.
Okay.
And, without the regular pressure. And it was kind of, it was not a regular thing. I mean, you know that, right? When I'm talking about 70s and 80s, it was not one of those things where parents would impose everything on you, right? They would tell you which path to take. For us, it was fairly open, surprisingly. So yeah, it was a very balanced childhood. I keep trying to figure out if there was a problem in my childhood, but I can't. I wish I could.
You don't have to have a problem.
No, it would make me a better stand-up comedian for sure. They say in comedy, if you meet a comedian, you should ask him, who did you have a problem with, dad or mom? Because all of them seem to have some problem, with their parents. But yeah, it was a very stable childhood. It was a happy childhood. I wrote somewhere that we got things in life, but we got them a little later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The first TV, the first car, the first whatever VCR, the first telephone, all of those things happened to us. So, but they happened like slowly. So it was not like too much wealth around or whatever. It was just balanced.
Yeah. Okay. So then what was your journey like? School, college, and then, so tell us a little bit about that.
So it was school. It was school in Delhi. Used to do decently well. I think I was always in the top 7, at least, if I'm not mistaken.
That's why your parents didn't have pressure, no?
Yeah, I think I was in top 7 because my parents were not putting pressure. Because knowing the rebel nature that I have, I possibly wouldn't have studied if they had forced me to. So that didn't happen. So yeah, school happened. Did science, went into engineering. Then did my MBA, Masters in International Business from Delhi School of Economics, and
Okay.
yeah, and then went to corporate life. Did about 18 years in corporate life. Last 11 of which were at Microsoft.
Okay.
2016, I used to head the Xbox business, the gaming and entertainment business for Microsoft in India.
Hmm.
And then I went and saw this movie called Tamasha,
Okay.
which was about following passion and all. And next day I went to office and resigned. And I said,
Oh,
I need to
okay.
follow my passion.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's actually without exaggeration, it actually happened like that. I saw the movie on Sunday night, Monday morning, went to office, resigned, and became a stand-up comedian. So it's been now 8 years I've been doing stand-up comedy now.
Great, great. I mean, quite brave. And yes, of course. And I think if you have
Yeah,
your passion and if you listen to your calling, then I
yeah.
guess you just do it. Because if you start thinking, then maybe you won't, isn't it?
Also, different worlds, Sangeeta. I always tell people that these kind of things were not possible in 90s or
Of
even
course.
in early 2000s, right? And now we live in a very different world.
True.
There's this example that I always quote that when, if you would not study, our parents in those times would say, कि पढ़ाई नहीं करोगे तो चाय की दुकान खोलोगे,
Yeah.
you know, and now there's a Chayos and a Chai Point, and these guys have multi-million-dollar funding. Somebody opened a chai ki dukaan and made business out of it, right? And that's the world.
Correct.
That's the world, I guess, you live in. So if you really want to do something, I guess you can. Right? It happens.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So, which means that the most important or influential woman in your life at that time was your mom? Or do you have a...
Growing up, yes, of course. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So I have an elder brother, no sisters,
okay.
unfortunately. But yeah, mom has been a big influence always.
Any critical life lessons that you picked up from her?
I think it's just the way she managed everything. You know, honestly speaking, in those days, I'm talking about 80s, there was there was no conversation around man, woman balancing the housework and stuff like that.
Mm,
Those things never used to exist. So even if the woman was working, she
mm,
also had to do everything at home.
yeah, yeah.
And as we saw mom doing it, and doing it very nicely. There was no compromise either which way, right? We never felt that mom was working or that we didn't get enough attention. So she somehow managed that entire thing, and I
Mm,
guess this whole idea notion that sometimes we men especially, I guess, we sometimes feel right there are too many things happening and I need to just let go of a few things to focus on something. I don't think that's true. I've seen women in my life, they manage so many things at, at the same time. It's quite inspiring that way.
yeah. Okay. So you learned that one can do several things at one time.
Yeah, and do it with a smile. More importantly, there's no cribbing, no none of that, right? Just doing it happily.
Yeah, yeah, correct. So, have you ever had a moment or an instance in your life when a woman's perspective completely changed your outlook on something?
I think there's not been one moment, uh, but thankfully, I think the women that I've had in my life, whether it's friends, my wife right now,
Mm-hmm.
all of them are doing their own thing.
Mm,
Uh, they're very strong individuals,
mm,
and in fact, to the extent that when I was in corporate life, especially when working at MNCs, there's a lot of conversation around diversity and inclusion and stuff like that.
yeah, yeah.
When that entire wave came, right, uh, of these discussions which became mainstream in corporate.
Mm,
In the beginning, I could almost not understand why everybody's screaming and crying.
mm, mm,
I couldn't relate to it because I'd seen mom work, my wife works, everybody around me was working, and I didn't see the kind of disparity that happens or whatever, right? So I used to have a lot of discussions saying, hey, why are we talking about this, right? There's no need. Everybody's equal.
yeah.
I don't think anybody's getting discriminated basis their sex or gender. I couldn't understand it for a long, long time. And then obviously a lot of conversations, and I realized that, yeah, a lot of things happen in working life for women,
Mm.
which we men don't even understand, or
So
maybe not even
probably
aware
yes,
of.
because you were not aware of it, because I don't think anyone ever talked about it. Because I think even, I mean, I come from that generation where we took it for granted that we had to do everything. So there was never any conversation,
Yeah,
there was never any question, and we just happily did everything we had to, till the point, I think, when even, I mean, if I look at my life, I also started realizing that I can't do everything. And,
yeah,
I mean, wanting to do everything ended up doing, not things not the right way, or not doing a lot of things. So till that time, I never realized it was a given.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Grew up that way.
I guess you're right. Yeah, I guess you're right. Nobody was possibly, even if they were facing these issues, they were probably not talking about it.
Yes. Yes.
And we were not even aware that these things were happening. So yeah, you're right, kind of. Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
looking into some stereotypes. So, what's the most absurd misconception you've encountered about women, and how did you debunk it, if at all you did?
Uh, yeah, let me take a very specific example. Since I'm in, this stand-up comedy world,
Yeah.
one of the weirdest ones that I've heard is that women are not funny.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
That's
yeah,
interesting.
and I know it's very surprising. Like, and a lot of female comedians face this allegation, and just women comedians are just not funny. Like that
Oh,
for some reason, I don't know why. And I could never understand it. I think women comedians are more funny. I find women in general more funny because they also have the ability to understand what they're talking about. Right? It's not one of those things that men can be nasty when they're being funny. I think women are still empathetic,
hmm,
even when there's a lot of humor. So uh, that is there, and also I think at a larger scale, when you talk about corporate life, etc.,
hmm,
there is this thing that married women or women who have children, etc., not are not stable enough to work or progress in a corporate environment. I think that another thing which is absolutely, if I may use the word, absolute bullshit, which happens in corporate life. I think it's one of those excuses that people give not to hire women. So I think those things, yeah, there are a lot of allegations. Yeah, I mean, you look at every part of working life for a woman. I think they have it difficult.
yeah.
In sports you'll have it difficult, in arts you'll have it difficult, in corporate life you'll have it difficult. There's always allegations of you can do so much but you can't go beyond this.
Hmm.
And if they do go beyond this, it's like one of those, oh, this is one in a million case, so this is so surprising that this has happened. So yeah, they have it tough. Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that.
So, if you like came across somebody who spoke like that or said something to that effect, how would you deal with it?
Yeah, yeah there are two things. One, there is, you can have a conversation with people, right? I think that's everybody's having it.
Hmm.
Women are more vocal about this aspect. The men who understand it are having these conversations. But there is a very fine line, I personally believe, between a conversation and an accusation,
Yes.
right? And I think that's, in my view, one of the things that kind of is didn't work out, or is not working out for this whole feminist movement, so to say, is that there are not enough conversations which are happening. There are a lot of accusations which are happening.
Yeah.
The moment a guy would say something wrong, everybody is pointing fingers. Hey, you can't say that. What did you mean? It's very like, if it were to happen to me, if I were to make a statement, let's say, and it could be a conscious thing that I have or an unconscious bias that I have. If I
Yeah.
were to make a statement, and which is very wrong in the context of let's say women working, and
Hmm.
if everybody starts pointing fingers at me and start accusing me without explaining to me that fundamentally why I'm wrong, my natural reaction, honestly, would be to just step back and say, hey, hold on, okay, I will not say it here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It will
Yeah.
not change my mind, but
Absolutely.
I will just be careful about what I say in certain environments.
Yes.
Especially when women are around,
Right.
and I don't think that solves the problem.
No, it does not.
So I think the important thing is to have conversations. I know it is also irritating sometimes. Women also run out of patience,
Hmm.
uh, but I think that's the only way to keep having these conversations regularly, to keep explaining to people, men especially, where they're going wrong, because a lot of bias that happens is unconscious bias.
Yes, because
We
you've
say
grown up
things, we
with
do
certain.
things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you've grown up, you've seen the society. We all grew up in, I think we all have to acknowledge that we grew up in different times, right? And in those times, those things used to happen. Like if
Yeah.
you watch a 80s Bollywood movie now,
Yeah.
right? You'll be shocked out of your wits, right? You'll be like,
Yes.
how did this ever get on screen? How are we enjoying this? How was everybody liking it? Those things are just not acceptable. So it's a long process. Uh, but yeah, conversations. That's
Yes.
the one thing that'll always make it work.
I think the solution to most of the issues we have in this world are conversations. I mean, if you talk about it,
Yeah,
you explain your point of view and try to understand the other one's point of view as well,
yeah,
that's how you will understand and that's how you will be able to solve. I mean, it's like,
yeah,
whether a man is imposing a view on a woman or it is the other way around, it amounts to the same thing.
yeah,
It will not lead to a
yeah.
solution. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
All
I have a 15-minute set that I do on stage, which are jokes on feminism.
Oh,
Uh, when I was writing that set, everybody told me, says, don't do it. Women will get very angry.
mm, mm.
And I used to tell them, I said, if you haven't noticed, they already are. There is nothing that I will say which will
Okay.
get them more angry. But the whole premise of that set really is this: is that women are just angry right now, and it's justified in certain cases. It is in certain cases not even justified, but they're angry and they're shouting and they're upset, right? And that's not helping. And men, on the other hand, are very clear. They just are politically correct now. So when this happens, one is angry, one is just politically correct. I doubt how much of these things will actually get solved. Uh,
I
but I
feel
guess there's no other way. Yeah,
there is no other way because women are also coming from a space where they were not heard, right? And
yeah,
now
yeah,
I think they have come somewhere where they want to be heard, but then not too many people are willing to even have a conversation. Like you're saying that we should, but the
yeah,
desire to have a conversation has to stem from both sides. And you can't have
yeah.
a conversation
Absolutely,
every
absolutely.
time. I mean,
Yeah,
certain things you
yeah,
feel that, okay, I can't do it. And it cannot be imposed on me just because I am a woman. And right now, I don't have the time or the patience to explain. So, yes, but I think it's a process
yeah,
of evolution. It will take time, but it will happen, because we're open now.
yeah. In fact, a very nice thing that you just said is that women were not heard for so long,
Mm.
that is now coming out in different you know different facets.
Yeah, yeah.
And because I've seen that in stand-up comedy ways, right? Because there are not enough women, or there were hardly any women in the country who had a mic in their hand and telling people their views, right? Imagine doing this in front of random strangers.
Mm, mm.
And I guess that is one of the reasons why people are still uncomfortable with female comedians.
Yeah.
Because for them, somebody holding a mic, having a spotlight on them, and then them sharing their worldview is
Mm.
still very strange
Yes.
in India. So and they manifest it in different ways, saying women are not funny or whatever, those kind of things. So I guess you're right. Yeah,
So it is a process of, I think, growing and evolving. And with time, now that we are aware that we have to
yeah,
do it, yes, we will get there. All right.
yeah,
So tell me, of course, you have women in your life. So
yeah.
how do you navigate supporting the women in your life without falling into the white knight stereotype?
I try to stay out of their path as much as possible.
All right.
I have realized, and I think all men should understand this, that the more we think we are supporting, the
Uh,
more problems we create. So, if you want to support your wife or your girlfriend or whatever, stay out of her path. Don't try to help because we normally mess it up. I've tried doing it. I've tried helping at home. I've tried, getting involved with work and all those things, and it always backfires.
okay.
Always backfires. There's always, you don't understand, and I'm like, okay, fine, maybe I don't. uh, so
But
so I guess staying out, yeah,
yeah,
staying out of the way
I
is
guess
the best solution.
it is true that you don't understand because that Mars and Venus thing is there, no? Our
Yeah,
perspectives are
yeah, it is, it
different,
is.
your
Yeah,
perspectives are different. And like I said, you cannot have a conversation every single time you disagree, because
yeah,
it's just not practical. But yes, I
yeah,
guess, all right. So this is your way of staying out of.
yeah. Yeah. But on a super serious note, I think one of the fundamental things now that people have to get out of their head is this whole equality thing, right?
Mm,
Forget the rights and all. It's just if you treat another person as equal,
yeah.
right? Without gender coming into play, if
Yeah.
you if your mind works like that, you would never have these issues of saying, hey, she's doing it, so maybe it has to be done differently, or he's doing it, so it will be all right. Those kind of things. It's just the absolute equality part. And, like I mentioned earlier, when I was in corporate life and, these things started, these conversations started, I guess because of my background, because of the way we grew up, the friends that we had, uh, we never looked at, the genders as not being equal. It's only later I realized, oh, there is, pay disparity and, the progress in corporate life, and there's something called as glass ceiling, and all of these things happen because my view was, hey, it's all based on merit, right? There are two people working, and whoever is doing better will progress. And apparently, it was not like that. But that equality thing is stuck. It's always been there for me, and I think men need to understand that part. That if you're equal, then you're equal. It is not about, hey, I'll also cook in the kitchen. Those are very small issues. I think whoever is a better cook here, or get food from outside for all I care.
Yeah, yeah.
But but in terms of aspirations, in terms of what the person wants to achieve, in terms of the potential that they have, that's where equality comes into play, right? Everybody should have a level playing field in terms of the opportunities to fulfill their potential. Just because you are of a certain gender shouldn't mean that you will not get the same, playing field as I did.
Absolutely.
I think that's where the issue is. Yeah.
But you have seen, I mean, I'm sure I have seen that a lot of men,
Yes.
they try to come to a woman's rescue either by being that, knight in shining armor, or having a very patronizing approach that you're a woman, so you will not understand, like, things like driving, or for that matter, anything. I mean, that's the only example that's coming to my mind right now. But a lot of men have that thing that either they are there to rescue you without understanding that I don't need that. I mean, I am capable of looking after myself. Or they have that patronizing thing that, oh, you're a woman, you can't do it. So I think that is where the entire issue comes up, because then it is my reaction as a woman to the fact that you're treating me like this, and the actual issue just gets sidelined. Because what you
Which
know,
is with
right? You
yeah
just forget about that.
There is a concept of root cause and proximate causes.
Yes.
That every issue that you have, there's always a root cause for that issue, right? And most of the time we are focused on the proximate causes. So we'll say, hey, I read this in a book, so I'm trying to be intelligent out there. But we'll always say that, hey, phone is distracting, so hence I can't write. But the problem is not the phone, right? The problem is something much deeper, because of which you can't write. Maybe it's fear, maybe it's whatever, right? I think it's the same case. There is some things which are so think of it this way, right? There are these bigger issues, right, which are larger societal issues which are happening in the world right now, especially against women. Their fundamental rights, their right to, like I said, right to follow their potential or to fulfill their potential. Things like pay disparity, things, those kind of things. And those issues are way bigger. But what happens is they manifest because of the frustration, because women have felt it for so long, right? They manifest in smaller ways. But everybody starts thinking these smaller things about, hey, can I pick your luggage up? Can I open the door for you? Those kind of things. They used to be romantic earlier, right? Or chivalrous earlier. Now they're becoming issues, which I honestly, I have I feel very sad when these things are the ones that are being spoken about and discussed. I remember once I was in a flight and there was this woman, she was finding it very difficult to kind of put the bag in the cabin up. And I offered help, and she looked at me. She said, "Why do you think I can't pick it up?" And I was like, "So sorry." Yeah. And I just felt sorry for her. I wanted to tell her. I said, your intent is right. You're just fighting the wrong battle here.
Yeah,
Right.
correct.
I know where you're coming from. Maybe it's something else, but you're fighting the wrong battle here. There's some things that you should just let be. So it's killing all of those. But always there is, these small things. If men understand that, if a woman is getting angry because you made an offhand comment about driving in a party, and if a woman gets angry, she's really not angry on the driving part. I mean, if everything was equal, she'll probably laugh at it.
Hmm.
but there are far bigger issues that she's facing, maybe at work, maybe at home, maybe generally in society, and they all manifest in these small ways.
Very well put. Actually, this is it. It is the entire background that is there at the back. Of course, nobody can understand that, and you cannot even expect
Yeah,
other people to understand, but that's where it comes from. Because you're carrying so
yeah,
much of baggage, and it's just that one
yeah,
little trigger, and
yeah,
you're like off, Yeah, that is how
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Okay. So, all right. Now
It's
you are,
killing all the jokes, though. By the way,
it is. Yes.
yeah, it's killing humor. It's killing romance. It's all of this. Like it's all gone now. Yeah,
You see, I think I just feel it's a transition. And
yeah.
once, like you've restored the balance in some
I guess
way,
it'll all come back.
yes, it
Yeah,
will. This is like we're just
I
transiting.
hope so.
I am quite sure it will happen. I'm very positive about
Yeah.
it. Okay. So you're a prime example of this. And to an extent, even I am of the same kind that what I'm going to ask you about, which is about midlife rebooting. So a lot of us getting into other things in our midlives, early 40s, late 40s, picking up things which are diametrically opposite to what we've been doing before that. You did it, I am doing it, though I continue to do what I
Yeah.
started out initially, which was teaching, but I am doing all this. So why do you think people are doing it, and what are your views on it? Is it good,
I'm
bad?
actually writing a I'm writing a full set on it right now. This whole concept of following passion,
Okay.
and it's a very tricky thing here. See, given my background, I was 44 when I quit my corporate life to become a stand-up comedian,
Okay.
and because of that story, everywhere I go, right, in parties or when I'm doing shows and meet people outside, invariably the conversation shifts to following passion.
Yeah.
And 99% of the time, people have told me that they want to quit whatever they're doing
Hmm.
to follow their passion. I don't know whether it's just because they're having a conversation with me or generally everybody's so frustrated with their work right now. But I think people are loving the romantic notion of following passion without understanding what it really means.
Okay.
This whole thing has been romanticized so much.
Hmm.
They're motivational speakers. You throw a stone, it will hit a motivational speaker telling you that follow your dreams and do all of those things. All of us, people who've done this, yeah, I must say, we don't, we shouldn't get so much of credit just because we quit the job and started doing something else. But we do get a lot of credit. There's a lot of interviews, and everywhere people are like, "Oh my God, you did a very brave thing." The
Hmm.
brave thing was not quitting. The brave thing was actually making something out of what you really love to do. Right? That's the brave thing. So fundamentally, I get worried when not the adults. I think they're still okay. But when the younger generation is going into this whole thing of not understanding what it means to follow passion and jumping into it, I think I think people need to have conversations with them
Yes. Again.
because you are doing it. I've done it, and I can tell you I've worked harder in these 8 years than I did in 18 years of my corporate life.
I agree.
It is not rosy. It sounds very rosy. Hey, every day you get up in the morning, you go to a coffee shop and you sit and write jokes. This must be fun. No, it is not. It's a
I know. I know.
it's a very painful, very lonely, very full of tension kind of even though I'm in stand-up comedy, but that's the world we live in, right? When you're doing things for your own, when you're running a family of, because you decided to follow your passion, it's tough. It's very, very tough. And I don't think people talk enough about how tough it is. And they should. Everybody will get a midlife crisis. All of them do.
Was saying that having a passion is one thing, but it doesn't mean that following a passion is going to be all that easy. Is that what you're saying?
It's never easy, actually. It's never easy. Never, ever easy. Especially if it's if it's your primary mode of earning.
Hmm.
Everything that gets involved, your family, your house, yourself, your mind, you work much harder than you would work anywhere else, and the tensions would be like 10 times. Yeah, so I don't think people realize how difficult it is. They all find it very movie like.
Hmm.
Oh, I'm going to sit in some coffee shop and, I'll have time on, I'll be my own boss and I will be able to do whatever I want to do. You're not, you're starting your own business. You've got to make money, you've got to live. So it's extremely difficult. And I think young people especially need to understand this because if they go in for this whole romanticized notion, it's very bad. Yeah. It's,
I agree.
sometimes just working is good enough.
Yeah,
If you're in a good company, if you're in a good industry, and if you're loving your job, that is passion.
that is.
Don't confuse don't confuse hobbies with passion. Is what I
I
would
think
say. Yeah,
very important to understand this whole, yes, like you said, don't romanticize the notion of following your passion or your dream or whatever. It sounds very good, but you have
yeah,
to do a reality check and see whether
yeah,
it'll really work out. But having said that,
yeah,
I also feel that a number of people, maybe, I mean, our generation, I can't say, but a lot of people end up doing things due to some pressure or the other, which they don't like. Somebody was forced into becoming an engineer or a doctor. And now, I mean, after 20,
yeah,
25 years of giving their best to, that life, they just want to kind of quit it. And I think that,
yeah. Which is true. Which is true.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't think anybody is happy working.
yeah.
Uh,
And of course, if it's your passion, then nothing like it. But how many of us are actually passionate about the work that we started to do when we were in our 20s? At that,
yeah.
and even if at that,
True. True. It is.
it was the passion,
Yeah.
maybe it isn't any longer. So, in that sense, I feel it's a positive change in the society where people are more flexible, they're more accepting. I mean, if you were told your dad 20 years ago that you were going to do this, I'm sure, I mean,
Yeah, it will not happen for sure. No, I
yeah.
think there are also opportunities, right? There are also
Yes,
opportunities. People
yes,
have realized that, if you pick up anything in this world, and I truly believe it, and if you're willing to work hard, and
yes,
I would underline it, I would bold that part of saying work hard, which is like
absolutely.
really put in your heart and soul into it. Money would come eventually. You
It was
just need patience,
tons of it.
because because the thing that hits you when you quit is it's a celebration around you. Everybody's like, oh, awesome, what a thing, now you're starting on your own, congratulations. And slowly and slowly, everybody who used to be in your network fades away, right?
Hmm.
Because you are no longer of any importance or use to them.
Absolutely.
You're not going to give them an opportunity somewhere in job, or you're not going to help them with some sales or some deal or whatever, right? Now you're on your own, and people didn't start, going away, and you realize there's only this core, two or three or four, or your family or whatever, right, who's around you helping you do this, and and that plays on you mentally.
Of course.
That's what I keep telling people all the time, saying, hey, realize that a lot of things will happen the moment you decide to quit your current life and go into another life, right? The people won't be the same, your life won't be the same. Working hard, would be the very core basic necessity. You no longer have weekends where you're just sitting and chilling,
Yeah.
right? All of those things,
All the
as
time.
long as people understand that part,
Yes.
and they're and I, and if they have the courage to just go through that initial phase, I think then it's fair. Then everybody should do whatever they want to do.
Yeah, 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 I agree. You have to remember that even if it's your passion, it doesn't mean that you don't have to work hard, right?
Oh yeah, in fact, it's just
Absolutely.
the opposite, right?
Yes.
You work
Yes.
much harder.
Much harder.
Also, you need to understand how to make money in everything,
Yes.
right? A lot of youngsters who come up to me and say that, hey, I've just gotten into comedy and I've been doing it for 6 months and it's not working out. And I always ask them specifically, I said, what is not working out?
Hmm.
The humiliation that you face on stage because you're not good enough right now, so people don't laugh at your jokes. That's one part of it, right? All of us have gone through that
Yeah.
phase. Or the fact that you're not making money. If
Hmm.
it's the money part of it, you need to understand how to make money in stand-up comedy. Just
Hmm.
like that, right? If you were to do this, let's say, podcasting thing like full time, right?
Hmm.
If you were to quit your job and do this full time, the first fundamental thing you would have to understand is how is money made in podcasting,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
Right? And likewise for anybody who's following passion, they need to understand how money is made in that industry.
Correct. Correct. That is very, very
Yeah.
essential. Okay. So going back to the woman-centric part of the podcast,
Yeah.
if you could swap roles with a woman for a day, who would it be and why?
Oh, that's a difficult one. Yeah. If I could swap roles, I would love to say my wife, but then I know that the version that I'll see of myself in the other, like if my wife becomes me, I would start hating that person. So, uh, in fact, there's not a single woman. I would love to play multiple roles and figure out how difficult it is, right? If this was some kind of a wish thing, I would love to become a female comedian and see how difficult it is to go on stage and talk with just men
Okay.
staring at you.
Yeah.
Because I've heard about it, and as a man, you can try to understand, but I don't think you ever get a feeling like that.
Absolutely.
Uh, uh, so there's not a single person. It's just scenarios where it's just so difficult to understand or even comprehend for a man that these things are happening,
Hmm.
that you wish you get an experience of that, right? So that you understand it better.
Yes, you understand it better. That's true because these are the kind of things that men never have to face. So it could be that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we were talking about
I
women.
I, I had a joke, which was in that same feminism said that it's kind of a dark joke in the sense that it talks about all this harassment that women face, right? And a lot of men say that I understand, and I
Hmm.
say that in the set that and I'm talking to the men in the room and say, put your hand on your heart.
Hmm.
And I'll give you a scenario. If you're walking on the road and there are five women who are just standing there and they look at you and start blowing kisses at you, you
Hmm.
would not feel harassed,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
You would take it as a compliment,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? You would think, "Aaj to main bada hi handsome lag raha hu," right? We don't understand that part
You don't.
at all. So yeah, certain scenarios,
Because
you
you
know.
see, that
I hope,
reaction of a woman, say if a woman were walking and there were five men there, it comes from the fact that you're physically incapable of dealing with them. Every woman knows that.
yeah. We
Fear
just cannot
sets in
understand it. Even
because
if we
the
want
fear
to, we
sets
can't
in.
understand.
Yes. It
Yeah,
could be anything else, but that fear at that moment, that is
yeah,
something men
yeah,
can do because physically men are stronger, So you can never
yeah,
experience
yeah,
that in that sense. All right.
yeah, yeah.
So, Anshu, going back to women's multitasking abilities, which we've spoken about earlier. So, if you look around you
Yeah.
and your mom or your wife or even a female colleague or a cousin, so what is the most impressive display of multitasking that you have witnessed from any of these women around you?
I think the trait that I have witnessed
Hmm.
while multitasking, most impressive is not complaining.
Hmm.
Uh, it just fascinates me
Hmm.
that they are not complaining. Because if I were to put myself in the situation, I'm taking the example of my wife alone, right, in the house, that if I were to multitask the things that she multitasks,
Hmm.
I would do it, but I would make sure that you understand I'm doing it. That
Yeah.
that you have a photograph of me like in full size where you're saying you are the god because you're doing it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I will crib and cry about it. I will, tell the whole world. Every party I go to, I will tell them, how I'm doing all these things. But for
Yeah.
somehow women just tend to do it. They don't make us feel like that. They don't crib and cry so much. That fascinates me, right? It's just I don't know where you get the energy or the strength to manage that part.
Yeah.
Like we, about a year back, not even a year back, about 10 months back, we kept a dog at home, and we got this small Labrador puppy. It was like a month old,
Hmm.
and this was my first experience of not my first experience. This is like parenting at this age, right? When you're taking care of the little dog.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I am because of my schedule. I'm a comedian. I work in the night. I'm at home in the mornings, right,
Yeah.
or in the afternoons.
Yes.
Even if I'm working, I'm at home, and both my son goes for work, my wife goes for work.
Hmm.
So I'm the one. I'm kind of the house husband who's also working.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that there's so many things that I keep cribbing about. They're all
Hmm.
excuses, right? I can't work because he's around. I have to feed him at 3 o'clock, so I can't work. And then I said, my wife actually never complained when we had an actual son that we were bringing up. And
He did it. Yeah.
I just have to take him for a walk like twice in a day and feed him 3 times.
Hmm.
And I'm complaining for that also. So, yeah.
So,
I
I
don't know
think
where you guys get this
two
idea.
things there. I think one is that somehow I think women are, I don't know, I mean, I could be wrong here, but I think we're just genetically disposed towards doing various things at a time, A.
Yeah,
And I think B is also, we've seen women do it, all the time. So it's kind of a given.
I guess. Yeah,
So
yeah,
it never
yeah,
feels okay. It's only now that, the narrative has changed and people are talking about it. And you suddenly feel,
yeah,
and also when I think you reach a certain stage in life and when you realize that I've been doing so many things, I don't want to do them any longer. I just want to focus
yeah,
on a few things which give me happiness rather than, giving happiness to the entire world and its uncle. So I think that is where, it changes. Otherwise, I mean, I've also gone through this, the work and the kids and the homework and their play dates and their classes and social, all that I have done. But
yeah,
a lot of things I was doing which were not out of choice. So, but then it never struck me
yeah.
that it's striking me now. Anyways, all right.
Yeah, it just, there were no options because of the way the
The
households
society
used to work.
was, yeah, I can
And
believe.
you're right, the experiences that we had seen, or the cases that we had seen, or it became so comfortable for us as men to not even address those issues.
Yeah, because
Right? We were very
they
happy
weren't
saying,
issues.
"Hey, yeah,
They weren't
yeah,
issues.
I'm working. Get me chai or whatever, or do the other work because I'm working."
Yeah, yeah.
We were getting away with it, you
Yes.
know. And unfortunately, then women rose and they were like, "No, enough of it."
Yes, which is
I know you guys are enjoying this now.
absolutely. That's the whole point of having you here. All right. So, can you share a funny anecdote about a time when a woman in your life outsmarted you? Totally
Hey,
outsmarted.
uh, it happened at a corporate show. No, not at a corporate show. It was actually a stand-up comedy show. It was a multi-comedian lineup.
Hmm.
And, normally when you're doing a show, right, you figure out the kind of audience
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is coming in.
Hmm, hmm,
Yeah.
hmm,
Uh, and you kind of see from backstage and you figure out, and sometimes just by the look of it, it's a very different audience.
hmm.
So it was one of those shows where, uh, I won't name the group that had come from a
Hmm.
certain whatever organization, but it was
Okay.
very clear that they will not get the comedy that we all of us used to do right at that point of time.
Okay.
And it was just one female comedian in the lineup, and there were three of us,
Hmm.
three guys. We were four of us who were supposed to do a 15-20 minutes each. And I remember having a conversation in the green room,
Hmm.
and all of us, for some reason, uh, were we had this whole attitudes of how will we protect this female comedian
Okay.
from
All
what
right.
was about to happen, right?
Hmm.
And not like in a physical way or whatever. I'm
Got it.
saying,
Got it.
because we knew that we would go and bomb on stage and
Hmm.
nobody's going to laugh at our jokes, and we were all very well prepared. So how do we protect her, right? And we were
Okay.
all discussing this thing of when do we send her up.
Hmm.
So, these are the conversations happening in the green room. We were like, hey, let's have one guy go
Hmm.
first.
Yeah.
Then, the second guy will go. By the time, at least we will get them to laugh a little bit. So room will be, easier. Then
Hmm.
we will send her. Then, another guy to follow to close that entire thing. And I don't know how it happened that it was first three guys went,
Okay.
okay, and then she went in the end
Hmm.
to do the show. All three of us completely and absolutely bombed, right? There was not a single laugh for 45 minutes in that room,
Oh my
right?
God.
And we all tried our best. We tried doing all kinds of jokes,
Hmm.
and we tried doing crowd interaction. The audience just would not laugh.
Oh my
And
God.
then she went on stage for 15 minutes. She just absolutely destroyed the room.
Oh my
And she
God.
just humor with the interactions.
Yeah.
And we were just sitting in the green room and we were like, oh God, yeah, like she should have been protecting us instead of the other way
That's the
around.
other way around.
So yeah, I think that's one of the cases where I remember having this bias very clear.
Hmm,
And
hmm.
then
The
bad,
tables
yeah.
were turned, so to say.
Oh, completely turned, yeah. It was genuinely a very difficult room. These were very difficult people to make laugh.
Yeah, I guess some
So
people are. It's not easy. So tell me, women around now are, achieving all kinds of things and, like I said, breaking barriers and addressing obstacles, challenges. But then, in your opinion, what's the most underappreciated aspect of women's achievements in society today? What is it that people don't appreciate or don't appreciate as much as they should?
I think talent,
Really?
honestly.
Okay, all right.
Uh, and it is very, very sad and unfortunate
Hmm.
that any woman does well,
Hmm.
right, at work,
Yeah,
there is always reason which is attributed to her success, which has nothing to do with her talent,
correct. I agree.
right? It is always luck, or it is always somebody else who helped,
Hmm.
or those kind of things. It is never like you never look at somebody and say that, hey, this woman is just pure talent.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
is, you always give reasons of her success to something else. Maybe
true.
it was easier for her, maybe the work was simpler. I don't know. There are हजार excuses, right?
There are.
Um, like in pure comedy, I've heard people say that if a female comedian is doing very well on stage, and it's like, अरे यार लड़की है ना तो सब हंस रहे हैं.
I agree.
It's like,
Yes,
you know, and that's the bias which is so prevalent,
it is. It is. I agree.
right? Of giving women their due of talent.
Hmm.
I think that needs to happen here. We need
Yeah,
to
and their
recognize women.
ability to maybe
Yeah,
do 10 things because, I can so relate to what you're saying because it's been 2.5 years since, I decided to pursue my doctorate. Okay.
yeah.
And that was a time when I was preparing for an entrance, an interview. And at this age and stage, it's not easy going back to academics. Even the thought can get pretty scary. But I decided
Yeah.
because I felt I have nothing to lose, let me just give it a shot. And I had people actually coming and telling me that, oh, your kids have flown the nest, your husband doesn't say anything to you, your house is working with you have staff to do everything. So it's easy for you. So,
Yeah.
and I hate to say it, but these were some women who said it to me. And I
Yeah.
was like, do you even realize? But yes, you're right. People don't give you credit for that. They maybe just try to take that credit away, rather than giving it to you, just try and
No,
take.
it's always something else. It's always something else. A woman comedian writing brilliantly, performing brilliantly on stage,
Yeah,
somehow is about her level of comedy. It is always something else.
it is always something else.
Uh,
True. Sad, but it's true.
Right? If somebody, if let's say a woman had done exactly what I have done, right?
Mm-hmm.
If she was at Microsoft heading a business and then suddenly she quit at 44 and decided to do this,
Hmm.
uh, nobody would be talking about, bravery and,
No,
what a
no.
great thing that you've done. There'll always be conversations saying, hey, maybe, her husband makes money, so she has
Absolutely.
money,
It will be the
or
only conversation
yeah,
that because she
or
has a
something like
husband,
maybe
that's
maybe she was fired from work and she had nothing else to do.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is an easier one. All those things will start coming in, and if she does well, it'll be like, हाँ यार लड़की है, easy होता है.
Yes.
But it's not easy, right? In fact, it's just the
Exactly.
opposite, I
Just the
guess.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, any empowering quote from a woman and how it inspired you? Can you think of something?
Yeah, not particularly. I'm not a big fan of quotes. I think
Okay.
quotes normally make you feel very good when you're reading them, and then you forget about them like in 30 seconds.
Hmm.
Because if quotes were to change the world, then I guess Instagram would change the world, which it doesn't, right? It's quotes and all.
No, it doesn't.
But I would say this, right? Women have taught me in pretty much every aspect of life.
Okay.
Uh, whether it is through tough times, just being persistent with what you're doing and just getting through those tough times, whether it is multitasking, whether it is letting small bad things happen,
Hmm. Hmm.
not reacting to everything, saying, oh, everybody's against me and the world is against me, because I don't see women doing that much, right? There's a lot of tolerance that they have.
Correct.
They're good qualities, right? All of these that in some way or the other they have taught me. And mostly it's not teaching in the sense that they've come and said, hey, listen, let me teach you something about tolerance or about patience or about working hard or whatever. It's just they have done it in a way, and then you look at them and you're like, yeah, that's a better person, doing much better things, and you might as well learn a few things from them. So the influence has been that.
Yeah.
Uh, I think I've been blessed, and I wish everybody has strong women around them, yeah, because it helps you become a better man.
I'm sure. So you, like you said, you don't always have to tell, you have to show and tell, don't have to speak with words. It's
Yeah,
your
you just look at them. There is a guilt. I'm pretty sure there is a guilt in all of us, yeah, as men. It's
well.
not that we don't understand what's happening.
Yeah,
We,
of
we
course.
know,
Yeah,
we
definitely.
all know.
Of
We
course.
tend to believe that अरे नहीं ये तो ऐसे बचपन से मुझे सिखाया तो ऐसे ही
तो
चलेगा.
ऐसे ही होगा.
हमें पता है कब गलत चलता है, right? And you notice things, and the good thing about good things is that when you notice good things, whether you like it or not, they stay.
Yeah.
Right? When you need those good things in your life, those are the examples that you look at.
Correct.
Right? Because that is where you saw it happen. That is where you saw it manifest. So, yeah, everybody needs to have women in their life.
Yeah.
That is why this whole diversity thing is so important. People get it very wrong in corporate life. This whole inclusion diversity thing now is not about quota.
Yeah. It
It's
is.
about ideas. It's about a different way of working. It's about a different way of looking
Yes.
at issues and problems and solving them, right? I think that's where, women are important in every aspect of the world.
Absolutely.
Everywhere, I guess.
Percent of the population, so you just cannot ignore. I mean, that's what I feel. I mean, like it doesn't have to be, you don't have to give credit only because she's a woman, but give it if she deserves it. And don't take it away from her because she's a woman. So that.
Yeah, different qualities. We have different qualities. They have different
Yeah,
qualities.
absolutely.
And you got to learn from each other. कितना अच्छा sound कर रहा हूँ ना मैं? I'm pretty
बहुत
sure
बढ़िया.
wife is gonna see this now.
You're
laughing
going
on
to
my
earn
face.
tons of
You will
brownie
not
points.
like this, Anshu Mor.
All right. So now we come to the rapid fire round.
Oh dear.
5 questions, 5 quick answers. All right.
Okay.
So we start? Okay.
Yeah.
What's the funniest thing that has ever happened to you on stage?
Funniest thing, I dropped the mic stand
Oops.
as soon as I went up on stage.
Oh my God.
And this was very early in my career.
Oh.
I went up, there's a mic stand, there's a mic on top of it. And nobody had taught me that, you should practice taking it out. That you should know exactly how to take it out. This is like my second or third time on stage. And I went and it was too tight and I pulled too hard. And there was a lot of people sitting in the audience who just saw the entire hand fly. And I didn't have the intelligence or the experience at that point to take care of the issue with a joke. So there was dead
you
silence in the room.
can't do it. Yeah,
very quietly went back, pulled the mic stand up, and like an idiot, put the mic back into the stand. And then again tried to pull it back. I was like, I have no idea what I was doing. I think that was the most embarrassing thing that happened on stage. Yeah.
Okay. All right. An easy one now. Favorite book or podcast?
Oh, favorite book. Yeah, there's so many of these books. There are 2 that I've read recently, which are phenomenal. There's a book by Matt Haig called The Midnight Library.
Okay. Oh, yes.
It is a must-read book. It's such a beautiful, beautiful book. And then there's another book by this guy called Morgan Housel. It's called Same as Ever.
Okay.
And
right.
both of them are like wonderful concepts. I've just read them recently, and beautiful premise of the book and lovely writing, both of them. Must read.
Okay. All right. I'll take
Favorite podcast? Yeah, I listen to all comedian podcasts only. There is this podcast which is called Working It Out.
Okay.
That's a podcast that I listen to. It's mostly comedy. I'm like very into artistic kind of podcast.
You will have to add one more to the list now.
Yeah.
What
Obviously
you are on.
100%.
All right. Okay. So what's that one thing you wish more men understood about women?
Oh, lighter note, mood swings. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Uh, you know, I think, yeah, silence. Yeah, silence. I think men can understand what silence means.
That's a good one. Yes, silence.
Especially in arguments or whatever. Yeah, you should understand the silence is not that you won. Silence is that it is the bigger one is coming.
Yes. They
Yeah, I
say
don't
look
think we
for
get
the
the
thunder.
silence.
So,
Yeah, I don't think we get the silence. Yeah, that's one we should understand.
okay. So, who's your favorite female comedian or stand-up comedian, whoever you want to mention?
My female stand-up comedian is a lady called Hannah Gadsby,
Okay.
and she's a lesbian. She is, I think the pronouns are different for her. They is lesbian
Yes.
also, but I think they is like one of the finest comedians in the world. Yeah, there is a Netflix special called Nanette, Nanettete, Nanette,
Okay.
and
Okay.
you should watch that special of hers to figure out what she can do on stage. It's just so powerful.
Great. Okay. And the last one. What's the most iconic female fashion trend in your opinion?
Arey yaar, fashion trend.
According to you.
I don't know. I'm a very sari kind of a guy, yaar. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think women look the best in saris, yeah.
Mm.
Uh,
I agree,
yeah,
actually.
and I don't follow trends and all, yeah, but this trend would always go forever. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
put 100 women with different fashion, whatever, on them, and then one woman in a sari, and she will always look more elegant.
Yes, she'll stand out. I agree. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so Anshu, extremely delightful, extremely enlightening conversation. And I must tell you, this is season 2 of my podcast, and we've never had men before. And we
Wow.
wanted to because, like I said, for a more inclusive world, we need to understand each other because we have to
Yeah.
coexist. Important to understand each
Yeah.
other's viewpoints. So, an extremely delightful conversation. Thank you so much for being on the show, and I hope you
Thank you,
had a good
Sangeeta.
time.
Thank you so much, Sangeeta. It was, like I said, it was actually genuinely an honor to come on a podcast like this, to be felt worthy of actually having a conversation on these topics. Also, I'm super happy that I don't think I will get cancelled after this. I'm playing the entire podcast in my mind, and I think I have not said anything. Because as a comedian, you know what happens is just for the joke, now sometimes
Yeah,
it's like one of those impulsive things, and you say it
correct.
not because you mean it,
But
because you think it is funny, and then you always say the wrong thing. And I think I haven't said anything wrong, so I think I'll survive.
absolutely survive and thrive.
Yeah.